Good evening. Welcome to Who Manifested This Shit. I go by the name Sunny Ray. My name's Lisa Montgomery, and my brother's name's Patrick Montgomery. And together we have spent many long nights and long hours putting together content, discussing stories of our lives that we've had some pretty insane things happen to us in our lifetime, and most of them have not been, a pleasant time in our life, but we survived. We came back stronger and wiser from everything that we ever did. I do want to mention we are not doctors, we are not therapists, we are not life coaches. We are just two regular people who have had a crazy life, and individually. This is kind of an unedited thing. We did not want to disappoint any of our viewers tonight. We've had trouble. We are new to this. We will get better and more professional as we go along. Last night what happened was we made a modification to our name, and YouTube said, oh no, you gotta wait 24 hours to go live. And then tonight we tried to go live at 9 as we promised, and we got messages that we must have 50 subscribers. So please, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe, so please like, share our videos with as many people as you know, and please subscribe. It is free, and then to stay in the loop with what we've got going on, we'll post regular messages versus doing Facebook Messenger or your messages through your regular phones. So with our people that we're close to right now, family and friends. Real quickly, my brother and I lost our father, John E. Montgomery of Gas City, Indiana, to cancer in September of 2016. Our father had some very unique ways of raising kids, and maybe not so unique, but he was a good man, and we learned a lot, and he was a guy with a great sense of humor. So he was a good dad. Some things he said we struggle with a little bit, but what he did, he bred champions. He tried to, and some of us like me, we lost our way more than once or twice. So and I think my brother has stumbled along the way too. So we want to talk to you, listen to a story or two of something you survived that was maybe really crazy thing that happened, circumstance, or even just a major life change that just about maybe destroyed you. We want to talk about, was there a certain song, album, musician, artist that you listened to or were inspired by during that time, and what did you try that didn't work, maybe as you were attempting to rise up from the ashes and come back wiser and stronger. So this entire podcast and project we dedicate to our father. We really hoped that we could have launched our first live yesterday on Father's Day, because we feel like our dad would be really pleased with the hours and the time we have invested to put together ideas of content to bring to our viewers, and we feel like you're all going to enjoy it. We're going to have some special guests. There's going to be laughter and maybe some tears here and there. We're going to talk about music, just all kinds of things. I did mention some special guests, some people that have made some pretty, great progress, had some success in their life to achieve some very difficult goals with challenges, and we're going to talk to them soon as well. We also want to bring you a THCA or some type of cannabis review each week, and I do try to have one medical fact available each week, which after tonight's episode, I will be giving you the resources that I use to obtain the medical information. I typically watch Harvard, Yale, Duke University lectures, professors, and go by the most current research available to read. So I do study quite a bit, even though, you know, what I talk about may be quick and brief due to time restraints. So we will do that. My brother goes by LSDJ. He's had some great success in the underground music world, and that stands for the Last Standing DJ, and he was the original. There's many after him, but we are using his music in our videos right now, and we probably will continue to use his original music, you know, unless we obtain permission to something else. But I believe it is okay to talk about the songs and the artists, you know, that we I feel like everybody has a song, you know. Maybe it's one you cry to, maybe it's one you laugh to, maybe it's one that just makes you feel good when you're feeling down, or maybe it's just one of those songs that just you can close your eyes and it just moves your soul, you know. I mean, there's some of those out there for me, and I feel like a lot of people have those too. We're going to be talking to musicians. My brother's a musician, he's an artist. You know, music is as much therapy for the listener as the musician, and so we want to touch on these things. So great to be with y'all tonight. We are posting our videos as quickly as we can get them recorded and on the channel for you to watch tonight. So without further ado, I do want to discuss just one brief medical fact that I have learned is that this relates to cancer. There is research that shows that cannabis, and I would have to look up what strains or not strains, but cannabinoids actually do this, but there's research that shows that there are certain cannabinoids that will attack and reduce and destroy. I don't know if it's completely, I would have to go back and watch that particular lecture, but it has a great effect on pancreatic cancer cells. So the research is showing some really good success with that. And then one other thing that I did learn that I did want to mention, so I'm bringing you two this week. This is our special launch episode. So the second thing, I have learned that there are folks out there with epilepsy who have been on about every medication to control seizures there is, and they continue to have seizures. And so there's some articles that I read of one woman in particular who was traveling outside her state to purchase THC. Well, the reason being was she wasn't having seizures anymore when using THC. Now, THCA is basically the bud that is pruned or taken off the plant a little prematurely, and so it's inactive until it is heated to 150 degrees. So THCA, CBD, and there's some other cannabinoids that are Delta 8 is one that are legal in, I believe, all 50 states. So anyway, like I said, we'll get more professional. I'm learning, growing. I'm not a, someone who's well-versed in social media or or YouTube in particular. I know how to watch videos, but as far as a creator, I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm hoping and I'm healing from a lot of things too. So hopefully we can share that all with you. I want to touch on my brother and I decided for keeping with Father's Day and the dedication of our pilot tonight. I want to talk about one particular story of my dad. I was a good girl for a long time. I was a good kid, didn't get in a lot of trouble. I was pretty quiet unless you were my neighbor sitting next to me in grade school or junior high or high school, and then we may have some long conversations during class and get in trouble maybe but with the teacher, but nothing serious. So anyway, up until about the age of 12, 13 years old, and my mother and father remarried different people within 30 days of each other. I believe I was 12 when that happened. For the previous 5 years, my mom was a single mother, and it was her and I alone, and the man she married had 5 children of his own. 2 were grown in another state, and 3 began to live with us one by one as their mother dropped them off on our front porch. So I went from having no siblings to there's 3 siblings at my mother's house, and then 1 at my father's house because my stepmother had a child from a previous marriage who was 2 years younger than I. So anyway, my father and my stepmother decided to start over when we were about 12 and 10, and they should have ran for the hills when they had upcoming teenagers, but they did not. And so I was blessed, and my stepbrother was blessed with a beautiful half-sister and half-brother, and Patrick, LSDJ, is my half-brother, but he's my full brother. He's my brother till the end. Without him, this opportunity to come to you tonight would not be possible. So one quick story, because I'm trying to keep my time down so that we don't go on too long, but we bring you some good content. And my brother has a small review and a short story or 2. So the one story I want to tell, as I was giving a little backstory about, we weren't the best kids. My situation was my mother was so overwhelmed with all these other teenagers that came in. She kind of forgot about me. I was quiet and little a lot of times, and I just kind of slid on out the door. Nobody noticed. Well, got into a group of people that were older than I was, and by the age of 15, I was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and I went to rehab, and I have been clean for 6 years from my drug of choice. I've had other periods of sobriety and clean time that were several years at a time, but I have been clean other than THCA. And I know there's a lot of people going to say, oh, you're not clean, that's not, whatever, but it helps me with a lot of medical conditions that I have, and I use it in moderation. I don't recommend it to just anyone. It's depending on the individual. I would also recommend discussing with your family practitioner if you plan to add THC, THCA, or CBD, any cannabinoids to your pain regimen, your cancer regimen, whatever the case may be, anxiety. Please talk to your doctor because it does have some adverse effects on some people, some undesirable side effects. So we're not here encouraging you to go and smoke weed. So we are just sharing that there are things that work for us, and we have found, along with a lot of other doctors and specialists in this country, that there's a lot of medical benefits to be had. So my story is I kept getting in trouble a lot. Things where my dad smelled alcohol, or he seen me stumble through the kitchen on my way to my room when I came home and had a little bit too much to drink, or I may have smoked a little too much weed, or who knows. So I was getting in trouble, and my dad was a reasonable man, and he was a deep thinker, and he was calm. He didn't yell, he didn't abuse us. We did get a spanking once or twice, and that's about it, really. But we weren't afraid of our father. We had great respect, as well as our mothers too. We were taught to respect our elders, to have manners, and those kind of things. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and my brother grew up in the 80s and 90s. So, a little bit of time in between. But anyway, so I was getting in a lot of trouble, and my dad and my mother both at separate homes would, give me these long lectures. Like we're probably sounding like to some of you people like we're lecturing. No, we're not lecturing. We're just sharing with you. But I felt at the age of 15, 16 years old, I was being lectured a lot. And my dad did say one evening, we went out on the patio to talk, have one of our late night discussions. And so he tells me one night on the patio, he says, well, I'll wash my hands of you. As of today, no more lectures. I'm tired of talking till I'm blue in the face, and you're like talking to a brick wall. In my mind, I'm thinking, thank God, no more lectures. Well, as much as I love my father, I still, at 16, just really didn't have a strong desire to sit through parental lectures. So I guess it was better than spankings, but I don't know. But anyway, so he tells me that, and it kind of worried me a little bit at the time too. It's like, is he washing my hands as I'm no longer his daughter, or he's just tired of talking to me? So he tells me, he said, you are one of those people who will have to live and learn your life lessons. And he said, unfortunately, there's a lot of people like you. And he said, the thing is, he said, you're going to fall. You're going to fall on your ass. And he said, do me one favor. Now, this was probably one of the best pieces of advice I ever received in my entire life, and I've lived by it. He said, when you fall, as you will, he said, I want you to learn something from that situation. Get up, brush your ass off, and go on. Look forward. Try not to make the same mistake again. And if you do, again, pick yourself up, brush your ass off, learn something, please, and move on. And so, I believe, as my brother and I have discussed, many hours of content and possible content, this is one thing that we realized, that we are perfectionists. We always were told or felt like, by things our dad said, that's good, but you can still do better. He told us things like, you'll always learn, there's always learning and growing to do till the day you die. It doesn't matter how old you are, there's something to learn each day. It's not, life is not something where you finally arrive, it's a journey. And so, some of those teachings we hold near and dear, but some of the things that we were told, we took and ran with about, feeling as if we had to be perfect, or we both struggled to accept a compliment without saying yeah, but, and putting ourselves down. So we are growing and healing, as I said. The other thing I did want to say was kind of comical. I've never been a very tall person or a large person. I was told that at the age of 5 in kindergarten, I could still walk underneath the kitchen table. I was very small. And so at the age of 15, 16 years old, I was about 100 pounds and 5'1" and 3/4 of an inch. I always claimed that because that put me closer to 5'2". And so Dad said, well, he said, you know, as your father, it's my job to teach you self-defense. And he said, in your situation, you're a small person. You're going to be a small person. I don't expect you to get a whole lot bigger. He says to me, in your case, it's okay to fight dirty. Well, in the 80s, you know, we weren't carrying guns, or if we were, we weren't pulling them out in the parking lot at school for a fist fight. That's how boys and girls settled their problems back then, was sometimes a fist fight in the parking lot at school. Well, so my father was concerned because I was getting close to an age of getting a driver's license and things like that. So he taught me a couple little self-defense moves and things, but the basic thing he tried to drill in my head is, look, you're little, so you are going to have to hurt someone and attack her really bad and run really, really fast. Can you do that? And I looked at him, I said, I don't know. And so he began to teach me some techniques that were definitely not ways to fight fair, but they were ways to survive a possible attacker who was much larger than myself. So I did want to share that little story with Patrick and my sister. They were, you know, Dad threw punches, you know, and they caught him, you know, in their fist when they were little, until, you know, they had those hand-eye reflexes, coordination with me. Dad just said, look around you wherever you go, find the nearest thing that can be used as a weapon, so that you need to conk somebody in the head and run fast. But fortunately, not unfortunately, but fortunately, I never had to test that out. So thank you, Dad. I know you hear us. I know you're watching down on us. Thank you for the wonderful lessons. I want to just double check. We did write down a couple bullet points. Make sure that I have covered everything. My brother's got some stories, so I don't want to take up too much time. Yeah, I think those were the two things I want to talk about tonight. Let me go ahead and touch briefly on the music I listened to back in those days. Pink Floyd, The Wall was a big game changer for me. It was one album that as a teen, when you're feeling a lot of stress from peer pressure or just, you know, all the things you deal through in high school, which are much worse than they were, you know, 40 years ago, but you know, there was stress involved. And so Pink Floyd was something that was very relaxing. I believe my mantra or theme song, if you may have called it that, was the J. Giles live version of Must Have Got Lost, the one that's with the intro of Laputa, Laputa, hang down your hair, let me climb up to the mountain of your love. And yeah, those of you who know J. Giles will know that song. And then I had some hard times a little bit later on in high school, and my stepsister tells me one day that Supertramp's The Logical Song was now my new theme song. And so through the years, I've been told, or I've related to songs that felt like they covered my life story. So those were two. Today, I love all genres of music, musicians and artists. I try very hard to put positive things into my mind. So I am careful with music selection. I do have some that are probably not the healthiest songs mentally to listen to, but they're ones I still enjoy that, you know, put me in a good mood or I feel silly with or whatever. Lost my husband to fire 2 years ago, and There's a particular song called Dancing in the Sky that I heard the first anniversary of his death, and yeah, that song still makes me cry. I have a whole playlist now of things that inspire me. Some of my favorite musicians that really inspired me were Elton John, Rod Stewart, James Taylor. You know, I have other artists that are not musicians, or that's not their main skill or art that they put out there. You know, Cher is one of them, who's a great performer. You know, I could go on and on. So these are kind of things we want to, when we get to our 50 subscribers, we want to be on a live weekly to give all of you a chance to tell a story or two and talk about the music that got you through. And later on, we will get into more detail of some of our not so smart coping techniques and some of the smarter ones. Hey, I'm going to turn this over to my brother, LSDJ. Great to be on here tonight, and we love you all, and we will keep you posted on upcoming videos, and please help us get our subscription numbers, and you know, all the love and support's appreciated so that we can bring you better content, better videos, and update our equipment so that we can continue to give you the best quality out there. And thank you. Y'all have a good night. Oh, I did have a review, but we may get back to that here a little later on. I'm going to turn it over to my brother since I went on about 27 minutes now. Hey, till next time, love y'all.